What are you going to use to determine midnight? What times? What time or what prayers? Let's say what prayer times or what times of the day and night are you going to use to determine midnight?
The beginning of Fajr and the end of Isha.
He said the beginning of Fajr and the end of Shah. You agree?
The beginning of Fajr and in between.
You agree?
Isha.
What do you say? Huh? No, you're going to use Maghrib and Fajr. Maghrib and Fajr. So let's say this morning, Fajr came in 4:15, right? Let's say it's 4:30. Let's say 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Let's say Fajr comes in at 5 o'clock, right? And let's say Isha, Maghrib was 5 o'clock. Let's say Maghrib was 5 o'clock and Fajr was 5 o'clock. So now from Maghrib to Fajr is how many hours? 12 hours. So the middle of that is what? 11 o'clock. That's going to be midnight. That's going to be midnight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Yes, but we'll leave that on the side because we don't want to blame it. But that means for right now around the summertime, then midnight for us right now is actually 11 o'clock. It's actually 11 o'clock. So actually Isha is over, because we say 4:15, is over around a little bit after we prayed it. Right? According to those calculations. A little bit after we prayed it. It's over. It's finished. Huh? No? Okay. Why not? Aha. He's thinking, see there? Because we were dealing with 5 o'clock. Now we're talking about 8:30. All right, so now when is midnight now? From 8:30 to 4:15 or 4:30. 8:30 to 4:30. How many hours is that? Count. Use your fingers. Huh? How many hours is that? 8 hours total, right? From Maghrib, for right now for us, it's saying 4:30. Rounded off to 4:30, right? So 12 o'clock. Around 12 o'clock, that's midnight, right? 12:30. 12:30, more like 12:30. Now, so you have up until that time to finish your Isha. All right. So the prohibited times, really Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy on us. Because the times that you can't pray are only 3. And they're really extreme at the extreme points. It's not like it's, 10:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the afternoon, in the evening. All right. Then Sheikh al-Uthaymeen, he says, Ba'd al-Subh, after Subh means, wa Ba'd al-Asr, and after Asr, ay Ba'd al-Salat al-Subhi wa Salat al-Asr. It means Salat al-Subh and Salat al-Asr, even though the word Salah wasn't mentioned. Even though it says Ba'd al-Subh wa Ba'd al-Asr, it means Ba'd al-Salat al-Subh wa Ba'd al-Salat al-Asr. Even though the word Salah wasn't mentioned. Then Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, he says, Ash-Sharh al-Ijmali, the general meaning, explanation of this hadith, or these 2 hadiths. يحدث عبد الله بن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن جماعة موثيقين مقبول الشهادة من بينهم عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنهم أجمعين شهدوا عنده أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن صلاة النافلة بعد صلاة الفجر حتى تطلع الشمس وبعد صلاة العصر حتى تغرب لأن الكفار يسجدون للشمس عند طلوعها وغروبها. So Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he's discussing that there are a group of reliable, trustworthy, truthful, accepting of their testimony individuals. And from amongst them is Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, wa anhum ajma'een, who they bore witness in front of him that the Messenger of Allah or the Prophet ﷺ prohibited praying the nafila prayers after the Fajr prayer until the sun has risen, and after the Asr prayer until the sun has set. The nafila prayer. Because the kuffar make sujood to the shams, to the sun, at the time of its rising and its setting. That's the reason. فَنَهَى الْمُسْلِمُونَ عن صلاة النافلة في هذين الوقتين إبعادا عن التشبه بالكافرين. So فنهي المسلمون عن الصلاة النافلة. So the Muslims have been prohibited from praying the nafila prayers at these two times to keep them distance away from imitating and being similar to the disbelievers. Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, he says, Fawaidul Hadith, the benefits of the hadith. Number one, these are the benefits from the hadith. تحريم صلاة النافلة بعد صلاة الفجر حتى تطلع الشمس وبعد صلاة العصر حتى تغرب إلا أن يكون لها سبب كتحية المسجد وإعادة الصلاة إذا حضر الجماعة بعد آدائها فيجوز فعلها كما تدل عليه أحاديث أخرى. The first benefit, Shaykh al-Uthaymeen only brings two benefits. Of course, he could have brought many more, but he only brings two. The first is the prohibition of making optional prayers after Salatul Fajr until the sun has risen, and after Salatul Asr until the sun has set, except if there is a sabab. A sabab, meaning a reason. There's a reason. That's why the ulama, they call, when the ulama, the scholars of Islam, discuss the prayer in the prohibited times, they call the prayers that you are allowed to do in the prohibited times, that are nafila prayers, they call them as-salawatu sababiyya. As-salawatu sababiyya. The prayers for a reason. The prayers for a reason. So he says, إِلَّا أَن يَكُونَ لَهَا سَبَبٌ, except if there's a reason. If you have a reason to do them, then you can do them even if the sun is rising, even if the sun is in its highest point in the sky, and even if the sun is setting. He says, كَتَحِيَّةِ الْمَسْجِدِ, like the 2 rak'ah when you come in the masjid. Because we know that the Prophet ﷺ has commanded us that when you enter into the masjid, because this is the house of Allah, that you should not sit down until you make 2 rak'ah. That's out of respect to Allah's house, that you don't sit down. He said, إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْمَسْجِدِ فَلَا يَجْلِسْ. As a commandment and a prohibition. He's prohibiting you from doing something, and he's commanding you to do something at the same time. Show you the strength of this hadith. إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْمَسْجِدِ, when any one of you enters into the masjid, فَلَا يَجْلِسْ. He should not sit down if he wants to obey Allah's messenger. If he doesn't want to obey Allah's messenger, then he'll sit down. Or if he forgot, then he should stand up as soon as he hears that the Messenger of Allah said this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He should not sit down hatta yarka'a rak'atayn or hatta yusalli rak'atayn, until he prays 2 rak'ahs. Then he says, like tahiyatul masjid, like performing the 2 rak'ahs out of respect or greeting the masjid. Wa i'adatus salah, or if he has to repeat a prayer. If he has to repeat a prayer, either hadar al-jama'a ba'da ada'iha, for instance, if he has to repeat a prayer when the jama'ah is after they have performed the obligatory prayers, they fulfill the obligatory prayers, for instance, and he's missed it, and it's the prohibited times. He comes in after Fajr, for instance. He missed the obligatory prayer. There's no prayer after Fajr, hatta tatul ash-shams, until the sun rises. But he has to make that prayer now. So he has to pray after Fajr, or after Asr, he missed the Asr prayer. Or he's ready to get married. The sister's upstairs waiting. Abdul Raqib or Jurayd is upstairs. The sister's on one side.